insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
You can now do more without it costing you more. Alabama's attractions have come together to offer the all-in-one ticket that downloads to your mobile device. No matter how many attractions listed on the ticket you see during the time span you bought, your price stays the same. Pick the right ticket option that best fits your schedule, and then enjoy more attractions without spending more. All-in-one tickets for different areas of Alabama are available at alabama.travel and other places where online tickets are sold. Brought to you by Alabama Tourism Department, the ABA, and this station.
Hey, brother. Saw you called.
John, I've been thinking about our days during the war, and
I'm on my way.
Thanks, man.
If you are a veteran struggling with depression, anxiety, or need someone to talk to, call 800-273-8255. Press 1. It's private and free 24/7. Call 800-273-8255 or visit vetsforhope.com. Sponsored by the partners of Alabama's Challenge and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Here in North Alabama, barbecue is a part of what makes our home so special, and great barbecue from Lawler's makes it just that much better. Since 1978, Lawler's has been serving up their delicious barbecued pork, ribs, chicken, ham, and turkey for generations of family get-togethers. Recognized as the best barbecue joint in Alabama for 2 years in a row, Lawler's is thrilled to share their award-winning barbecue for your next family meal or catered event. Order online or stop by any one of their 14 area locations. Lawler's Barbecue, cooked slow, served fast.
This is Unsportsmanlike.
Unsportsmanlike.
I am very much Super Bowl or bust with this Lions team. That's how complete they are. With all the injuries that they had on defense, they still find a way. The aggressiveness from Dan Campbell, it just feels like they have that je ne sais quoi around them, that vibe of winning. They've got the momentum. They've got the talent.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by Guthrie's. Guthrie's, America's original chicken finger restaurant, is an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Here are thoughts from gymnastics head coach Ashley Johnston ahead of tonight's meet at Kentucky.
It's week 2 of about 15 weeks during our gymnastics season, and so I like to think of that as mile 2 of a long marathon where you really have to be ready to take on any and all that comes with each stretch of a race. And I think our team did a great job starting strong, doing exactly what they've been training in the gym and just transferring that into competition. That's been one of our goals leading into the season, is to start strong, but to not make it such a big deal, to let Friday just to be a reflection of the workload that they put in throughout the week. And I'm really proud of how our team, who is a little bit younger than past teams that we've had, they really jumped in, competed like seasoned veterans, and I was really proud of how they transitioned all their work onto the competition floor.
I'll have more in a moment.
Founded in Haleyville, Alabama in 1965 by Hal and Melissa Guthrie, Guthrie's was America's first chicken finger restaurant. Guthrie still uses the family's original Southern fried chicken recipe in every chicken finger they serve. Fresh, hot, and fast. Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken Fingers has been Alabama owned and operated since 1965, and Guthrie's is still growing strong. Come see us soon. Guthrie's, America's original chicken finger restaurant, and now an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com.
We've got you covered on Saturday for Alabama men's basketball at Kentucky. Tip-off from Rupp Arena is set for 11 a.m. Central, with our coverage on the network starting at 10 a.m. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Guthrie's. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
We're back, we're live, we're brand new, and we are off and running. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, Friday edition. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you until 9 a.m. Holding serve. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can join us throughout the morning. This is one of those hodgepodge shows where we're going to talk a lot about a lot of stuff, but we're not going to talk a lot about anything.
Okay.
We just there's a lot of stuff going on.
There is.
It's just not a lot of like earth-shattering, going to move you to the ends of the earth type of stuff. Just a lot of stuff. But
Are you saying that Alabama and Kentucky's not a big deal?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
No.
I just wondered.
Not saying Auburn traveling to Georgia or any other of the SEC matchups going on Saturday. Not the fact that you got ranked Ole Miss, ranked Mississippi State.
I was told last night that Ole Miss wasn't that good. That's what this Alabama fan told me. He said, he goes, there are massive internal issues with this Alabama team. There's no way you should lose by 10 at home, and that Ole Miss to him did not look that good. And then I asked him when his cataract surgery was being scheduled.
What game was he watching?
It's called being a moron. It's he'd be on the short list for moron of the year.
Well, shortly after our show, though, and lots of times we don't go with the national stuff right out of the gates, but we will here because shortly after our show yesterday, the legendary, and I mean legendary voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, Bob Uecker, passed away yesterday. 90 years young was Bob Uecker, and this was his final home run call of the season this past year.
Right.
Set to work. Runners lead. First, second, and third, the pitch. Hit to left and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Gone! Jackson Churio just hit one with the bases loaded. And they add four more on the rookie's grand slam home run. His 18th of the year.
That's Bob Uecker. That was his final home run call. But, of course, many remember Bob Uecker for his role as Harry Doyle on Major League.
Or
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed. Ball 4. Ball 8. Low, and Vaughn has walked the bases loaded on 12 straight pitches.
Yeah, I did the drive with Steve yesterday for our 45 minutes, and as I said, to start that segment, just a bit outside. But Steve had a great monologue to honor Bob Uecker, and he's a guy that, he came to the city of Huntsville.
He did, and I was there that day.
When the Stars were with the Brewers, and we told Bryan Temple, our evening producer, told an outstanding story that I think he stayed to greet every fan that wanted to speak with him.
He did, and so they faced they were the Florida Marlins at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the Florida Marlins and the Milwaukee Brewers. It was supposed to be an exhibition game at Joe Davis Stadium.
Right. But there was weather, right? Yeah,
Mother Nature. And it had
bin sheets, I remember all that.
It had stopped raining.
Okay.
But the field and everything was a little damp and wet.
Yeah.
And they just didn't want to take the chance to put these Major League Baseball players on Joe Davis's field. And so they had to call the game. Well, Bob Uecker, because they had just left Florida and just come up here from spring training. And so Bob Uecker was with the team, and Bob Uecker was in the Brewers dugout, or it was the Stars locker room.
Right.
But he was there. And so we walked into the Stars locker room, and we interviewed for about 30 seconds, got a quick little interview with Bob Uecker there in the locker room. But then he came out and did indeed. He visited with all the fans, signed autographs, because there was a lot of people that had showed up
to see the
for
game.
this baseball game. Yeah, because I believe it's one of the few times that.
Well, it hasn't happened in a couple of years with the Trash Pandas. We haven't
Right.
seen the Angels, and I think it was the last time
It was.
that we were supposed to have a Major League exhibition game, because when I was a kid, I came to several of them when Oakland came
Would show
down,
up, yeah.
to play against the Stars. And so, and those are some that I never wanted to miss, because it was you're talking about Major League Baseball players coming in to play an exhibition game.
Yeah.
And at that
they
time
don't do that very much.
they
anymore.
don't. And at that time, if you remember, and that's why I always liked Oakland and became an Oakland fan when I was a kid, because they built their team through the minor league system.
Right.
So those great teams in the late 80s and early 90s that went to the World Series, they won it all in 89. 90% of those cats came through Huntsville. So you got a chance to see them. So And there
were a lot of brewers that came through
Yeah,
Huntsville.
they were doing the Brewers were doing some of the same stuff. You know,
Yes.
the Ben Sheets, the print. You know,
J.J. Hardy, Prince Fielder, Ricky Weeks.
Ricky Weeks, Prince Fielder. Yeah,
Brian
J.J.
Braun
Hardy
was here
for a little bit, like cup of coffee.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
See, people forget that was basically the same thing with Jose Canseco, because he was only there not even half a season because
Right.
he was putting up video game numbers, you know. And we don't call him Canseco either.
Some do.
Yeah.
Some have.
Yeah, and they're fired. Maybe I'll get sued now. I don't know.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I went there.
Oh, kind of like Gordie Howe played hockey, too.
Oh, my
right?
God. And Joe Willie's not Joe Namath? Come on, man.
We got to stop.
Yeah.
All right.
It's too damn easy.
It is. It is.
Don't forget, you know, that's a Guns N' Roses song. It's so easy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines this morning. And again, coming up on Saturday, we do have some big-time college basketball coming up here. And 97.7 ESPN The Zone, we will have some of that for you. And you can have a little bit of breakfast. You can have some brunch.
Yeah, it's
if
kind of
you want.
brunch in Lexington.
It is. It is. As Alabama will be traveling to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Now, later today, Nate Oates will meet the media
Before leaving, yeah.
But everybody else has kind of met the media yesterday, including Mark Pope from Kentucky. Here is just a snippet of what Pope had to say yesterday.
Hit me.
Wow, okay.
Mark, I know it's hard to follow all of college basketball from afar, but how much did you know about Nate Oates and Alabama and especially this offense before you got here, and what have you seen the last day or two?
Yeah, I mean, what Nate's done at Alabama has been incredible, right? He is, I mean, clearly they had a, all-time great season last year, and he's, the program is in a great position, and he's playing a fun style of basketball, and really, they're playing great basketball.
There you go.
Hit me.
That's how he opened his press conference. He sits down in his chair.
No statement.
And no statement, no nothing, and just says, hit me.
Well, I mean, Calipari does a lot of that too. Just
Right.
like, okay, what do you got? You
Right,
know, but
right.
Again, Kentucky's really good. They're a really good offensive team. Mark Pope's a really creative coach. I know the Alabama staff has a lot of respect for, his style of basketball. He did a great job at BYU, kind of resuscitating their program. So far, I know they had a couple hiccups against Ohio State. They had a hiccup, against, of course, against Georgia early in SEC play. But they've been really, really good. They've been really consistent for the most part, no question about it. And so no clunker losses by any stretch of the imagination. And Alabama's going to have to be ready. They were not ready against Ole Miss. They did not play well. It's a really good Ole Miss team. I'm sorry. I don't care what some people can't see. They've got 7,000-point scorers on that Ole Miss team. Ole Miss is capable of beating anybody in the league. I think some people overreact because it's at home. Oh, my God, you lost a home game. Well, so did Florida. Are they supposed to just quit? You're supposed to just, okay, screw it. Everybody transfer, fire some assistant coaches. Season's over. This is not football,
home.
Okay?
And that's the thing.
The moron of the year that texted me on this basically compared it to Oklahoma in football. That was his. He's like, this is a disaster, just like the Oklahoma. I said, first of all, you can't compare the two. Oklahoma was a 500 team. This Ole Miss team is not 500. Okay, this Ole Miss team is coached by Chris Beard. Brent Venables is not Chris Beard. Brent Venables is a defensive coordinator that's in over his head. Okay, and Alabama had a boat anchor quarterback who played terribly that game. Who, if he'd played well, Alabama would have won. But it was one of the bad Milroe games. This was not the same.
I look at Chris Beard, and I know they're different.
Indiana,
situations.
Fire your coach and hire him. Wake up, and smell the coffee. Mike Woodson is Avery Johnson's cousin. He cannot coach a lick in this game.
Oh, they're getting the crap beat out of them up there in
I
Bloomington.
mean, your boys from Iowa boat raced them. Then they came back home, and Illinois boat raced them. They're terrible, okay? They're 13-5, but they stink. They absolutely stink. They're about to probably get their heads caved the next several weeks. And so you got Ballo or whatever the hell his name is, the big man. He's out drinking in the bars before the day before the games.
Our friend Tom Brew up there.
Oh, I'm sure he's got some things to say.
Oh, he's had a lot of things to say.
I need to get Tom Brew on the show because
he's
like me. He has no filter. He does not really care
what goes on.
Yeah.
No, but so here's my thing. And
tells
tell
the
me,
truth.
And this is what's in my head. And tell me if I'm completely off the track here.
Yeah.
When Bruce Pearl was at Tennessee, he got into some hot water with NCAA stuff.
He
but
did.
Bruce Pearl was having Tennessee going in the right direction, and he had won a national championship on the Division II level. He was in demand. He was a good coach.
South Indiana.
Yes. So he comes out of the way, and the question is where will Bruce Pearl land again? Because he is a fantastic coach.
Right.
When Chris Beard got into hot water at Texas and was let go, the question was, where will Chris Beard land again? Because Chris Beard...
Or some even wondered if he'd get another job, which I thought was a little bit...
Yes, and that's the same way with Bruce Pearl. It's like, once his show causes, will Bruce Pearl get another job? Will he be coaching again? Because he had he taken the team to the Final Four, Chris Beard did. He is a fantastic coach.
Right.
Ole Miss was fortunate enough to be able to land Chris Beard.
Yeah.
Are they on the same? I mean, is it kind of the same? I mean, is that same to compare the two, Bruce Pearl and Chris Beard?
Well, I mean, you can somewhat, and then I know Arkansas had a lot of interest in Chris Beard before they got Calipari, and it became readily apparent that Cal and Kentucky were going to split.
Right.
But Beard pulled his name out. I mean, Ole Miss has put a lot of money into basketball. They have the pavilion. They have an outstanding facility. He's making really good money. But let's be blunt. They're not Indiana. Even with Indiana since 2002, when Mike Davis got them to their last Final Four and they played for a national championship and lost to Maryland.
Right.
And Gary Williams. They still have more tradition, and it's still a bigger deal in Indiana than it is at Ole Miss. It just is, okay?
No,
but
it
may
is.
be a situation, though. Nate Oates has turned down Kentucky. He's turned down Michigan. He's turned down Louisville because he loves his athletic director, and they've taken care of him. His kids and his family is very happy in Tuscaloosa, so he has stayed, and they've stepped up and taken care of him. Ole Miss may do the same thing, so he may stay at Ole Miss. But I just will say – if you can, because again, if he can get Texas Tech to the national championship, potentially maybe he could do the same thing at Ole Miss. But it really still is Indiana. I mean,
It is, but they haven't been relevant though.
I know.
Since,
I
Kelvin
understand.
Sampson. They
That's the last great
regret,
coach they
yes,
had,
yes.
and they ran him out of town on
because
a rail.
of 5 gabillion phone calls that he made.
That's just so bad. I mean, Bob Knight threw pots against walls.
He threw
He
chairs
cussed
across the
people
court.
out. He grabbed people and choked them.
Yes.
And I mean, Bob Knight was one of the best basketball coaches ever. But there's no. This is a documented fact. 1976 halftime of the national championship game, the last undefeated basketball team to ever play. They had already beaten Michigan twice. They were losing in halftime. He lined every one of them up and slapped them in the face. This was a different time in basketball, but he smacked every one of them. he was still the basketball coach. Okay, let's calm down here. I'm surprised that Archie Miller didn't make it there. I thought he would, coming from Dayton. I really thought he'd finally be the answer to the riddle. Tom Crean had some initial success, got them to number 1, but he could not, sustain it, couldn't get to the Final Four. But I'm just saying, Chris Beard's already proven he can do it. And
who was the last? Oh my gosh, who's the last coach to get Indiana to the Final Four?
I just said Mike Davis.
Mike Davis, that's right. I know.
Yeah. He's now an assistant for Penny Hardaway, and he was Bob Knight's lead assistant when they had to finally dismiss Coach Knight. But I'm just saying, I just think if you're Indiana, you can't worry about Chris Beard's baggage. Okay, you have to go get the coach. And to me, he's that level of coach that you can get. Now, there's going to be some coaches that you're not going to be able to get, but financially, Ole Miss will step up. I believe that, okay? But I don't know that they can step up as much as Indiana. And here could be the tipping point.
Right.
Who did Chris Beard coach for?
Bobby Knight
at Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Yes.
He's a Bob Knight guy. And we all know it ended poorly for Coach Knight. But he did reconcile back in 2020 and come back to Assembly Hall. So I just think when you look at all of it and it's in totality, now I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying if you're Indiana, that's who you should be swinging for. I mean, because Chris Beard is a good enough coach. Yep. And then and Beard he may come to the realization that that at Ole Miss they've got facilities, they can get really good players, but it's a tough league. The Big Ten's tough too.
Oh, ask Mick Cronin that.
Yeah.
Mick Cronin yesterday during his press conference said, I quote, "We've lost to some good Big Ten teams.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, the Big Ten basketball is very physical.
Yeah.
And we are finding that out."
Right. And Chris Beard doesn't mind physicality. We saw that on Tuesday. His teams were very physical at Texas Tech, and that was a really good basketball league in the Big 12. I'm just saying that when you look at it historically, Indiana has won, national championships in 76, 81, and 87. Okay, and they've been to a bunch of Final Fours under Bob Knight. He could make history at Ole Miss. He even referenced that in the press conference after Alabama. He said, Alabama's now got a Final Four banner. We're working on that at Ole Miss.
Yes.
He is, but it's still Indiana, and he's still a Bob Knight guy. And so that it would almost be like coming full circle and like completely maybe putting things to bed, because we know Coach Knight passed away in the recent past. I mean, several months ago, we lost Coach Knight. He was back living in Bloomington. But again, that's what I'm saying. You got to understand that maybe that could completely heal the fan base if you bring in a Bob Knight guy and Chris Beard, and maybe he's the one. There's somebody out there, Scott, that can solve the riddle. Look, I mean, when Nate Oates came to Alabama, since Mark Gottfried's 5-year run
had
done a whole heck of a lot. I mean, it was Coleman Mausoleum. We've talked about that when he got there. With what Anthony Grant and Avery Johnson did.
All of this, just to circle back to say that the Ole Miss loss to Alabama was not as
You mean
bad.
when?
Or the Ole Miss loss for Alabama.
Oh, for Alabama.
Yes, for Alabama was not that bad because Chris Beard is a hell of a coach.
Oh, he's one hell of a coach.
We got to get a break in. When we come back, we'll hit the
He's
phone
elite.
lines. We'll hit the phone lines. I told you, we're just covering everything today. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a pedestrian.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at VBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
I'm Al Roker, and here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Americans are boating responsibly. They know that on average, 2 people lose their lives and 9 are injured in recreational boating accidents every day. So they're wearing their life jackets, taking safe boating courses, leaving the alcohol on the dock, and of course, always checking the weather. You can learn more at www.uscgboating.org. The U.S. Coast Guard and I remind you, please boat responsibly.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at VBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
It's time to get ready for game day. That means Alabama football and tailgating. Whether you're tailgating at home or at Bryant-Denny, visit Brooks & Collier for North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers like Big Green Egg, Blaze, Delta Heat, Memphis, and Traeger. Satisfy any palate with our wall of rubs and seasonings. For all your tailgating needs, visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for over 75 years. Roll Tide.
Here in North Alabama, barbecue is a part of what makes our home so special, and great barbecue from Lawler's makes it just that much better. Since 1978, Lawler's has been serving up their delicious barbecued pork, ribs, chicken, ham, and turkey for generations of family get-togethers. Recognized as the best barbecue joint in Alabama for 2 years in a row, Lawler's is thrilled to share their award-winning barbecue for your next family meal or catered event. Order online or stop by any one of their 14 area locations. Lawler's Barbecue, cooked slow, served fast.
Auburn basketball coach Bruce Pearl has a challenge for you.
Be an MVP to a child in need by opening your heart, opening your home, and becoming a foster or adoptive parent in Alabama. I know so many folks that are. They tell me it's one of the greatest things they've ever done.
To learn more about becoming a foster or adoptive parent, visit dhr.alabama.gov. That's dhr.alabama.gov. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
There are many adults in Alabama who cannot take care of themselves. Some of them need foster homes. The Alabama Department of Human Resources has a critical need for caring men and women to provide safe and supportive homes for vulnerable adults. Make a difference in someone's life. Be an adult foster care provider because love never ages. For more information, visit dhr.alabama.gov/AFC. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, 726, Friday morning, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome in. Welcome back in. Kind of talking college basketball there in that first segment, getting you ready. Well, we haven't even really touched the tip of the iceberg to get you ready for Saturday, but we will here throughout the show. Also got some college football news and notes to throw along there as well, but we're going to go to the phone lines. They are filling up on a Friday. Mark from Spring Hill with us out of the gates. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning. How we doing?
Good.
Hey, let me ask you guys this. Jeremy Pruitt, where is he now?
Defensive coordinator, Plainview High School with his father, Dale.
Okay. All right. Well, here's what makes me sick about the NIL deals and all these craziness. You know, Alabama lost a linebacker. I'm not sure what position he played, maybe lineman, but Michigan seems to have an unlimited amount of money that they're able to buy whatever player they want. Texas, I guess, is in that category. I don't know. What he did at Tennessee was, y'all still there?
Yeah,
we're here.
You.
Got it.
What he did at Tennessee, was not, it was, I mean, just small potatoes compared to what we do now as a organization in college football. Just wonder why. When can he get back in? And is there a show cause, or is there anything that keeps him from coming back to Alabama?
Yes, he started out with a 6-year show cause.
I think it was 5 to 6 years, so I think he's got about 5 years left on it. I think it was more like 6.
It was a 6-year show cause.
At first they never really officially announced it, but that I've told people many times that's the reason after Pete Golding, left to go to Ole Miss. That was Saban's first choice to come back and be DC, but. And then trust me, Pruitt's, he and his lawyer were fighting. We're trying to get him cleared. They wanted his buyout money,
right,
which would be after he was fired. But Tennessee fired him with cause in their mind, and they fought it. And again, they got the show cause. And like Scott said,
it goes until July 13th of 2029.
Yeah, I was going to say it goes to nearly the end of the decade. So. He's going to be – I've told people that bring his name up. For now, he's just going to be in the high school ranks, man. He's a PE teacher. He's a defensive coordinator. And trust me, he's tried to get into pro football with the UFL and back to the NFL. He spent a year after he left Tennessee as basically an off-field analyst, quality control guy with the Giants. Decided to, not to go back there. I think he was confident he could get cleared and get back into college football. But he hasn't had a whole lot of luck.
If a team really
getting
wanted
back into pro football, so I mean, now I know what you're saying, Scott. You're saying if a college team really wanted to, they could hire him, but
they could hire him. He would be suspended for all team activities for
a
the
year.
Entire year of that team's season for everything.
Correct.
He'd be suspended for a year.
No recruiting, no
nothing. I mean, basically, he would be a name only.
Now it's interesting now that the analysts can quote unquote come on the field.
Right.
If somebody would try to do that, now there would be a cap on what he could make, and so I don't know. Right now I just know he and his wife. His wife also is working in the school system in DeKalb County. Over at Plainview, so that as far as a Pruitt update, that's what I know, and I just think he's probably going to have to ride it out. Bo Davis had to ride it out for a few years before he got back into college football. He actually did go to the NFL, for a few years before coming back to college after spending a year at UTSA working with Pete Golding, but. We'll see. I mean, Bo, I think, spent at least 2 years out. He was working for like a logistics trucking company at one point in time. So we'll see with Jeremy. But like Scott said, it very likely, with even though the NCAA has changed a lot, and unfortunately, Coach Pruitt, timing-wise, it was the kind of the last gasp of some of the stuff they were doing to penalize programs and teams and coaches, and they had kind of switched over. Instead of smacking the program, you're going after the coach. And Jeremy trusted the wrong person. He trusted Fatimus Maximus, and Phil does what Phil does. He's stabbed everybody he's ever known in the back, pretty much.
Me too, Brutus.
Yep. Yeah, and then the second part of that is, does Michigan just have money that just because they're literally, paying unknown amount of, monies that they just took Alabama's commitment, Ty
Haywood,
a few days ago. Okay, and so if y'all will comment on that, I think I'm listening. You lose Pruitt, for the rule he violated, and then it's just so hypocritical in my opinion. Thank you.
Well,
it's called Portnoy from Barstool.
But keep in mind, and this is. I guess you could call it the whole Reggie Bush thing.
Yeah.
When Reggie Bush took his money in college football.
That's another thing that wouldn't even happen now.
It would not have happened in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
What Jeremy Pruitt did in Tennessee, yes, giving players money, doing all this other stuff. Yes, you can do that today. You can go out and give all the players your money, but you couldn't do it then. And so, it's one of those things that if it happens a couple years sooner or a couple years later, he's fine. But it didn't. So he's got to pay the price. And that's a 6-year show cause. Let's go back out there. Richard is with us. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. on Bob Euchre, I used to live in the northern Chicago suburbs. I could hear the radio, the games on the radio.
Yeah.
And I can't say this for the entire career, but when I would listen to him, he did the games by himself.
Yeah, he did. I believe so.
I mean, usually most of these, radio or TV guys, you have, kind of a play-by-play guy and a former player.
Right.
But I mean, you did it. I mean, by himself.
Yeah, he did.
Which I thought, was kind of amazing. So you had to be kind of on it and talking the entire time. Mm-hmm. He didn't have anyone to kind of, relieve him at all.
Yeah.
I saw a stat that he accounted for like 3.5% of all baseball calls on the radio during his time.
Yeah. Wow.
And then you're talking about Chris Beard, and it's not the same as Nick Saban because Nick, when he came to Bama, didn't have any baggage, but Alabama couldn't make a mistake, in a coaching hire. And Indiana's at that point now.
Yep,
where
I agree.
You can't make a mistake. You got to get somebody proven. And I mean, they had the cheers going on. I guess that would have been Wednesday night in the student section. Fire Mike Wood, fire Woodson was going before they left. Then a few minutes later, there was nobody left. They all left. They were getting blown out by Illinois, but they had the fire Mike Woodson cheers going.
No question.
The other night. The one thing too is, one thing about Indiana is, you got 17,000 fans a game versus 8,000. I guess if you're lucky at Ole Miss, just and you own that state.
Oh, you
Even
do.
though Purdue's been better, but I mean, Indiana, is the main thing in that state. So
it'll be if you hire the right coach, it'll be like lighting a match. I mean,
one thing too with Woodson, I mean, you can't prove anything now in NIL, but they have one. They spent more money than maybe anybody else in basketball for the the roster they have right now.
Yeah, K-State as well. K-State spent a ton of money.
Yeah. So I mean, you got a proven track record that they're going to spend money, to get whoever the coach is to get them what they need to win.
Yep.
Out, but like I said, they're at a point where they can't, make another mistake out. And and the thing is, the Big Ten's good basketball, just like the SEC. You got to have the right coach, or you're going to lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to bring it every night. All right, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks,
Okay.
Richard. All right, one Bob Euchre stat real fast. How about this? On July 24th, 1965, Bob Euchre was playing for St. Louis. Hits a home run off Dodgers, Sandy Koufax. Vin Scully was on the call. And then in the visiting radio booth, Harry Carey and Jack Buck were doing the call as well.
The highlight for Bob.
Think about that, though. Bob Euchre, Vin Scully, Jack Buck, Harry Carey, and Sandy Koufax all in the same building.
And I can tell you, when I was a kid, the first time I ever saw Bob Euchre was on a beer commercial, and then on Mr. Belvedere, I didn't even know he was a former baseball player.
How about that? Bob Euchre, the Euchre seats.
Yeah, the front row.
Let's get that break in. We'll get more phone calls when we return.
Bill Bender coming up.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Rain moves into the Tennessee Valley as we head into the overnight early into your Saturday morning. Temperatures only drop into the mid-40s. Rain is going to stick with us at least through the lunch hour on Saturday afternoon, but after that, it does look like the vast majority of us are going to be dry, though we maintain a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky through Saturday afternoon. Otherwise, temperatures actually climb into the mid-50s. We drop into the low 30s as we head into the overnight early Sunday morning. A mostly cloudy sky Sunday afternoon. Temperatures climb just into the mid-30s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Had a wreck at Oakwood and Meridian, had a pedestrian struck by a vehicle there. That sounded like a life-threatening injury, but apparently it's not going to be, so they'll clear that intersection. Got a wreck in Hartsville, 36 westbound near 31. That one may have had a school bus involved, but I don't think there's any injury. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio, including the college football playoff and national championship game. The electricity, the atmosphere. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the college football playoff national championship, presented by AT&T. Coverage begins Monday, January 20th at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
It's the beauty of college football.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-Sparky.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hold your block until the whistle blows.
From SEC Media Days to the National Championship game.
This was a great team win.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Today's a big day in Atlanta. Coming up today at 4:15, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will touch down in Atlanta. And then at 6:15, the Ohio State Buckeyes, their plane is scheduled to land at the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Both teams will hit the practice field for the very first time in Atlanta tomorrow. They've been practicing all week back there in South Bend and Columbus, but they will arrive in the ATL today.
Yes, they will. No question about it. It's going to be Monday night in prime time. It's going to be Ohio State. It's going to be Notre Dame. Our next guest is the senior college football writer for the Sporting News. I'm sure his phone's been getting blown up. He told us in his last segment about a week ago or so ago that he's got Notre Dame friends. He's got Ohio State friends. This was going to be very interesting if this ended up being the matchup. It did end up being the matchup. And it's going to be one that's going to be very intriguing on Monday night, and Bill Bender's going to discuss it with us right now. Bill, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, Bill. Your initial thoughts. I mean, this reminds me a little bit of Alabama-Miami back in '92, where Miami had all the flash and dash. Alabama was a blue-collar team. Alabama ended up whipping Miami that day. I've still got Ohio State, though. I've got them winning. I think they've got the skill advantage. I think they're the better team. But Notre Dame, old school, great defense, great special teams, opportunistic offense. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, of these kind of title and playoff shots of Notre Dame, this is the best chance I give them to win. They're 8.5-point favorites. Yeah, Ohio State has a lot in their favor in this game. But, I mean, the Buckeyes and Irish, they've played two close games the last 2 years. It was 21-10 2 years ago, 17-14 last year. And I think Notre Dame's going to have the confidence knowing that they can play with Ohio State. They just got to keep things in front of them. They're going to need to get more out of their offense than they have gotten in the last two matchups.
Right.
And I think the country as a whole, I mean, for those that haven't followed Notre Dame, I think a lot of people have kind of fallen in love with Marcus Freeman as a head coach there at Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
You know, because he's charismatic. He's done a really nice job with them. He's calm. His demeanor, the players' coach labels on him, partially because, you know, I was told this a couple weeks ago by Joe Theisen. Players' coach means ability to communicate with players. It doesn't mean let your players do whatever
right.
you know, what they want.
Right.
But he's done a nice job of that. And I think the other one is, you know, for my wife, for example, and other moms of the teams I coach, they think he's very attractive. So that doesn't help either.
I can second that. Yes. Yes. My wife watches and totally agrees.
Yeah. So a lot of, you know, when you have that working in your favor, and even my son said something like, man, he looks like he's in shape. What? And it's like, are you saying I'm not? Is that what we're doing? So, you know, those kind of things. So, but all of that, and on top of that, when you listen to him talk about being the first black coach to have a shot to win a national title, and he doesn't make it about him.
Yeah.
He makes it about everyone else. And I think that's a really awesome quality to have.
Well, and then with Ohio State, I've said this on the show, and I'll get your take on it. You're in the state of Ohio. You're very familiar with the Buckeyes program. I mean, a month and a half ago, Ryan Day was on the hot seat. There was a lot of people wondering if he lost the game to Tennessee, would he be back with the Buckeyes? But they've played very well in the playoff. I've said this: if he wins this national championship, I think he's got so much equity he'll have a job for as long as he wants it. But if he loses it, then you got a Buckeye that beat him in Marcus Freeman. Are we right back to square one with Day? What's at stake for him in this game?
You know, it's hard to calculate. You know, what a 13-3 season, making the championship game, but you know, losing to Michigan, Oregon, Notre Dame, not winning a Big Ten championship. You know, I think he's fine, and I don't think there'll be much movement. You know, I would make the comparison if we were doing this in the NFL with the Bills or the Ravens. It's, hey, they got to the Super Bowl.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they lost the Super Bowl, but you know, some of that perception might be dictated like, how do they lose this game?
Right.
Is it a carbon copy of the Michigan game where they kind of tighten up and you know, let Notre Dame walk in, or is it a blowout? Or, you know, how would they lose that game would always dictate what we would feel about Ryan Day. But I don't think he's going anywhere, and I kind of felt that way after the Michigan game. I still didn't think he was going anywhere because it always comes down to, all right, who are you going to hire? I mean, Vrabel was that guy.
Right.
And he's coaching the Patriots now.
The question now, Bill, you start looking at the X's and O's with this game, and I'm sitting there trying to think, okay, if Notre Dame is able to win, they're going to have to run the ball like they have been. Can the Irish get a sustainable running game going in this national title game?
Well, they did last year when they were patient with it, and it's a different kind of running game this year with Riley Leonard, Jeremiah Love, DeArmond Price. Those two averaged 7 yards a carry against Ohio State last year.
Good point.
And Love had 10 days to get healthy. You know, he was close to being – he looked like he was gutting it out against Penn State, and now I think he'll look better. I think, you know, Price, if they can get him going, and then Riley Leonard on top of it. It's not the running game. The running game will get going a little bit. Can they throw the ball? Can they scare Ohio State enough with their receivers and tight ends against, you know, this defense that Caleb Downs has been amazing, and, you know, this Ohio State defense in general. Every yard's going to be tough in this game. I know that's a cliche, but when you're dealing with the two top scoring defenses in college football, every yard's going to be tough. Every first down's going to matter. Those are the kind of games I enjoy watching.
Well, and then we saw Jeremiah Smith basically get locked up. He was not a factor really at all in the win over Texas. Notre Dame likes to play a lot of man. Matter of fact, we had a chance to speak on the Drive, our evening show, with Jerry Glanville this week. Jerry Glanville He watches football a little bit differently than others. He loves Notre Dame's corners and the way they play. How do they match up with these Ohio State receivers?
Well, they're young, but we're going to find out. That's going to be a matchup on the outside. I don't think, there's this thought that, hey, Notre Dame will have to go to zone. They're not going to, not early. I mean, there's something to that. You play the way they'll make adjustments along the way, certainly, but I think you play the way that got you there. You're not going to dramatically change everything. And Leonard Moore having a great season, Christian Gray having a great season, and they don't even have Benjamin Morrison, their other corner, who had probably going to be a first-round pick. So, yeah, I think they're going to go at Ohio State and try to create some turnovers, and that will be the key. Can they create a couple Will Howard turnovers and change the complexion of the game that way?
Mm-hmm. You are there in Ohio. What does this one mean for Ohio State and Indiana fan-wise? I mean, we've seen the ticket prices. It's astronomical.
Yeah.
I mean, for both fan bases, how big is this to meet in the national title?
You got them on both sides.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they've played 6 times in my lifetime. And, you guys mentioned that at the top. I grew up in Central Ohio, right south of Columbus, like half-hour away in Lancaster. Went to a Catholic school. So, yeah, it's a big deal around here. And, the 6 meetings they've met in my lifetime, they had a home and home in the 90s that Ohio State won. They played in 2 Fiesta Bowls Ohio State won, and Ohio State obviously won the last 2. None larger than the last one, where Ryan Day calls out Lou Holtz afterward. And I just think from the Notre Dame side of it, they want to beat Ohio State so bad. they just, after that one last year, and they don't get to play often. There's a lot of back and forth with my friends about it. And, I said this, when they played that home and home in the 90s, kind of switched who was the dominant program in the Midwest. It was Notre Dame when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Like everything. And now it's like, I mean, I could ask you guys that. In the South, like, I think, I'm projecting, but I'm guessing if you guys went outside and asked like 10 people, who do you not like the most up north, they would probably say Ohio State. They used to be at Notre Dame or Michigan, but I think it's Ohio State now.
Yeah, a lot of Alabama fans. Am I wrong, Drew? A lot of Alabama fans still
Notre
Notre Dame. Yeah.
Because of highway robbery, if you've been around or grown up here.
Yeah, there's a history there, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
That national title. And
my dad brought me up on it many times.
Right.
I mean, I'll never forget. Go ahead, Bill. Finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say my father. I mean, I'll never forget when in 2012 when Alabama whacked Notre Dame for the national championship. I'll never forget my mother saying, "Well, Harold, did you enjoy watching Alabama beat whip Notre Dame?" He goes, "Absolutely." Because he brought up all the 1973, the narrow loss, 1977. 1966 before that, trust me, he had made it plainly aware because Coach Bryan never beat Notre Dame. And so there was a lot of resentment there.
Yeah, but I think in terms of – so I understand that. But in terms of, which program kind of carries the weight up here.
Ohio State's been the more – they've been the one that's – yeah.
Yep. And they've there's this 3-way struggle up here between – Michigan and Penn State, or 4-way actually. Penn State, you could rope them in there too. Notre Dame and Ohio State. Those are the 4 programs I probably write and talk about the most. Ohio State's kind of been the monster and the one that could have competed in the SEC at the height of the SEC. I know they got beat by LSU in Florida, but they also beat Alabama in the playoff and beat Texas last week, and quite frankly, Ohio State didn't even play its best game and still beat Texas by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, before you go, this is Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Just give us the scenarios. Ohio State wins if they do what, and then Notre Dame wins, and then I have to leave.
Ohio State, they win if they don't turn the ball over, and Will Howard is accurate and doesn't have a meltdown.
Please don't have a meltdown.
He continues to do what he does. The defense continues to make plays. plays and make life difficult. Notre Dame wins if they get off, they do what they've been doing. Defense, special teams, and offense are perfect. They have to win the turnover battle, maybe get 1 or 2 turnovers on Ohio State's side of the field and convert those into points. And just the longer it's a game, the better chance they have of winning. You know what I mean? Like if they keep it a 1-score game into the fourth, they'll have a chance because that's kind of what they did to Penn State. So I got it at 27-17 Ohio State. I think it's tight into the second half, but it's just hard to pick against this Buckeyes team with all the talent and all the ways that they have to beat you. And those injuries on the Notre Dame offensive line have me concerned.
Oh, great stuff. Well, Bill, let
Enjoy
everybody
the
know how to
ATL.
follow you and enjoy the ATL, sir. Be safe travels. Just let everybody know how to follow your work at the Sporting News.
Yeah, no problem. I'm at Bill Bender 92 Sporting News. It's good to talk to you. I'm heading out this morning, so get
Safe
everything
travels,
ready
sir.
to go. Thanks for getting me in.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Bill.
for coming on with us.
All right, let's get that
I
break
don't want
in.
to leave.
I don't want you to leave either.
I don't want to take a Micah Hudson. Just have to take a couple of days off,
You'll still get Micah's still getting paid.
I'm sure he is.
Let's get a break in. Talking ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a wreck at Oakwood and Meridian, had a pedestrian struck by a vehicle there. That sounded like a life-threatening injury, but apparently it's not going to be, so they'll clear that intersection. Got a wreck in Hartsville, 36 westbound near 31. That one may have had a school bus involved, but I don't think there's any injury. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
It's laundry season at Owen Home Appliance Center. Tired of that washer walking out the door and having to dry a load 2 or 3 times? It's time for a new washer and dryer. Pick from brands like Maytag, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, and of course, Speed Queen. Try the new 2-in-1 GE Profile that washes and dries a load all in one machine. Visit the interactive location in Lacey Springs where you can try the washers and dryers before you buy them. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center.
Orthopedics. You're thinking bones, muscles, and joints, right? Well, what else comes to mind? Maybe your spine, therapy, or an arm cast? What about sports medicine? What do you think about when you hear that? Are you thinking about the largest orthopedic group in the state, caring for the most student athletes in North Alabama? Or about the fact that they are teamed up with the state's largest hospital-based sports medicine program to provide care to more schools in North Alabama than any other group? If you are, you have TOC Sports and Huntsville Hospital Sports Center on the brain. If you're not, you should, because Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports have partnered for more than 2 decades to establish a state-of-the-art team of certified athletic trainers and orthopedic specialists who successfully continue to meet and exceed the sports medicine needs of schools, athletes, coaches, and parents in our community. Committing to kids, committing to community, committing to care. That's Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Short time left here in hour number 1. Coming up to kick off hour number 2, Bryan Passink will join us. Alabama getting ready to make that trek to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Wildcats. Yep. And then, hey, coming up tomorrow as well at noon, top-ranked Auburn travels to 23rd-ranked Georgia. We will hear from Bruce Pearl in the second hour.
That's an interesting matchup because Georgia's been really good at home.
They have been good at home. They're 2-2 in the league.
Right.
But they've been good at home.
Yeah.
And boys,
including beating Kentucky.
Stegman Coliseum, which is the dumpster of an arena.
That's
in the
what
league.
everybody always says now.
Steve will tell you that.
Yeah.
Tokyo will tell us that it's
like a horse arena. That's what he kind of calls it.
Yeah, but apparently it's been a true home court environment for the Bulldogs this year.
Yeah.
And then you got 6th-ranked Tennessee hosting on the road at Vanderbilt.
On the road at Vanderbilt, yeah.
Texas is on the road at Florida.
Boy, they need to win a game.
Oh, speaking of winning a game, Arkansas is at Missouri.
They did win one, though. Oh,
Arkansas
Lord.
is at Missouri.
Not the greatest time to play Mizzou.
John Calipari could be staring at 0-5 to start his first campaign.
They're even speculating he could be facing Ofer going to Kentucky on February 1st. Just think if it's that bad.
And think if Mark Pope just takes him outside and just absolutely takes him to the shed.
Oh, they would. Kentucky fans would be hoping that's the case.
We'll go over more of the league coming up later in the show. Again, we'll hear from Bruce Pearl later. We got UAH news, but Brian Passink will join us on the flip side to kick off hour 2.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They're putting the ball on the tee or throwing the ball up to tip off hour number 2 for us because they are dedicated to providing care that improves lives. You can give them a call today, 256-881-5151. You know why? Because you, too, at home can experience the SportsMed difference. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, they're there, they're everywhere, and they're dedicated to providing care that improves lives. Coming up tomorrow morning, and I say morning because it is 11 a.m., Alabama making that journey up north. Now, Nate Oates will meet the media later this afternoon or this morning to kind of preview this one. We heard from Mark Pope in hour number 1, previewing a little bit from the Kentucky side. But 4th-ranked Alabama, 8th-ranked Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky it is up there. What Alabama team will show up? The one that showed up against Ole Miss or the ones that have showed up and looked phenomenal at some points during this year?
Well, it just shows the strength of the Southeastern Conference. It's a total meat grinder. It's an unforgiving league. If you come out and you're not playing at your peak or at your best, there are no guarantees whether you're home or away. That's what that proves to me. It proves the elite coaching in the league because we spent the first segment talking about Chris Beard and if he'll be there long term at Ole Miss or not, because I think he's that good a coach. And we're going to discuss some Alabama basketball for the long-time color analyst for the Crimson Tide Sports Network, Bryan Passink. I had the honor of speaking with him yesterday, so it feels like I've been gone for like 2 hours and then just came back. But we even discussed his jersey hanging in the Innisfree. And Bryan Passink, good morning. We even have someone already texting in wanting to know if they can get your jersey in a medium. You're very popular.
Oh, man. Drew, first of all, it is always a pleasure and an honor to talk to you and discuss Alabama hoops. So appreciate you guys having me on, and I'm sure there's a rush to get the old double deuce from the mid '90s. That's an easy one to get, but they're not sold out. I can assure you of that.
Bryan, we heard Nate Oates' comments, and we've played them on this show after the loss to Ole Miss.
And that's what I love about Coach Oates.
Yeah,
he's so transparent.
You were there courtside. You saw the game. Your thoughts on everything that transpired in that loss to Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think, Drew mentioned it. It's an unforgiving league. And you look around the country and you go to the Big Ten, Big East, ACC, and if you're at home against a team that on paper you should beat, you can play poorly, maybe not have your A game, and you're probably going to win. And you look at the SEC and over the course of time, and that's probably going to hold true. Not this year. If you're not ready to go and you're not ready to play home or away, you're probably not going to win. And look at Florida. They're a great example to kind of take the emotions out of it for Alabama fans. And I am as guilty as anyone in terms of emotions. But look at Florida. That a couple of weeks ago, we're watching them on TV, and they're up 30 against the number one team in the country at home. And fast forward a couple of weeks, and Missouri, who isn't one of the better teams, projected to be one of the better teams in the SEC, comes to the O'Connell Center and beats them. It's just Missouri's good enough. They're good enough to beat you wherever they play you, no matter where they're ranked in the SEC, and that's just not the case in other leagues. And so Florida, a lot like Alabama, did not have their A game, and you better bring your A game each and every night when you're in the SEC. And now, with all that being said, Ole Miss is really good.
Yes.
Really good. They're 21 in the country. They'll be moving up. They're one of two undefeated teams in the SEC. Chris Beard is one of the elite coaches in the country, as is Nate Oates, obviously. This Ole Miss team looks as close to that. I think it was at the 17 or 18 Texas Tech team that went to the national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
They're good, they're talented, they're skilled, all those things, but man, they're tough. They're veterans. I think they've got 7 1,000-point career scorers. They're juniors, seniors, big, strong. They're well coached on the defensive end. They're one of the best in the country at creating turnovers, and that's a big reason why they won that game. Alabama turned it over 21 times against that tough Ole Miss defense, and I think you give Ole Miss a ton of credit for that. And then also, Alabama's got to be better with ball security. It hasn't been a problem this year, especially over the last month of the season. They've been really good taking care of the ball. But if you're not 100% dialed in and bringing your A game, things could go poorly for you, and they did for Alabama on Tuesday night.
Yeah, they had, since that first half against North Dakota, they had really taken care of the ball, Bryan, and they did that without shooting the three ball well, and yet they were still averaging 91 points. They'd still hit 100 several times. They hit 97 at North Dakota with that great second half. So they've done it without shooting it well, and this is a team that has skill. That I think the 3-point shooting will come around. But again, but another thing that the Ole Miss did, and this is something I wasn't expecting, I knew they needed to hang in on the glass, and Alabama still won the rebounding battle, but to hold Alabama to 3 offensive boards was not something I was expecting to see.
Yeah, the combination of turnovers and lack of offensive rebounding for Alabama was the reason why you lost the game. I believe Ole Miss shot under 40% from the field, so
38.
defensively.
Yep.
Yeah, defensively, Alabama was fine. But this team, you hear the term, and anytime I hear anybody say this about Alabama, I'm like, okay, you're not watching us play. They live by the 3, die by the 3.
Yeah.
That's not true.
No.
Alabama scored 107 points against Oklahoma and shot the 3 poorly, but they offensive rebound the heck out of it. Mm-hmm. And this has been one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. So it really like it's crazy, it's crazy to say it. It really hasn't mattered if Alabama shoots it well from three or not. They have been dominant on the offensive glass, and Ole Miss was limiting Alabama to one and done. And when the shots aren't falling and you're not getting second chance opportunities and you turn it over, and that results in the opponent getting 23 more field goal attempts than you, you're not winning that game. And obviously Alabama didn't. But I think those areas have been addressed in practice. And I think sometimes, even though, you preach, as coaches do, coaches preach to their teams about the things they need to do and do better and fine tune and all those things. When you're undefeated and you're winning and you're number 5 in the country, sometimes you're not maybe listening as attentively as you do after a loss. And I think that this team will be refocused and re-energized, and I think they'll play really well tomorrow. Now, will that be enough to go to Rupp Arena in front of 20,000 plus and a top 10 Kentucky team that's so good at home? Will that be enough to win the game? I don't know. But I would be surprised if Alabama did not come out and play with a ton of intensity and focus and play well tomorrow at Rupp.
What's fun about basketball is you see a different style almost each and every night. And Ole Miss is a physical, they're a physical ball club. They're going to crash the boards, and that you better be ready to have a physical night. Kentucky a little bit
defense,
different.
Switch everything, yeah.
Yeah, Kentucky's a little bit different, but still, Mark Pope has them playing good. But that's what's so fun about this league. Night in and night out, you are going to see different styles. Kentucky a little bit different style, though, than Ole Miss.
Yeah, it is. It's what's great about college basketball. You don't get this nearly as much in the NBA, and I'm an NBA fan, but you go to College Station and you play a Buzz Williams coach team that just wants to grind it out and slow it down and does what he does and what the style that he implements as well as anybody. And then Chris Beard does maybe a little more similar to A&M than Alabama and Kentucky, but this should be a fun game to watch tomorrow because both teams want to get up and down and want to run. Alabama coming into the Ole Miss game was the number 2 offense in the country, and when you get held almost 30 points below your average, you're going to drop in offensive efficiency numbers. So now it's Kentucky that's the number 2 offense in the country. So both teams can get up and down, shoot the three, wants to play with pace, a lot of skill on the floor. So I haven't seen who the officials are, but barring 88 free throws and 60 fouls called and all those things, I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch tomorrow afternoon in Rupp Arena because this is 2 teams that want to play more similar styles than what we've seen in the last couple of games. And listen, Alabama can win in a lot of different ways. They've beaten teams like Texas A&M who want to slow you down and grind it out. They've beaten teams that want to get up and down and play with a lot of pace. So I know that players would prefer playing a game like tomorrow against Kentucky. And so I'm excited about it. I know these players are. Tuesday was obviously disappointing for Alabama fans, but way more disappointing for players. So they want to get back out there and prove that what we saw Tuesday night is not the Alabama team moving forward. And I think it's an opportunity to show that you've learned from some things and you want to get better. And that's the beautiful part of college basketball and sports. You have a chance to learn and get better and grow from it. And hopefully we'll look back on Tuesday night as a game that helped Alabama improve as a team. And that's what you want. It's a long season. You're trying to get better as the year goes on. And Nate Oates' teams have gotten better as the year has gone on pretty much every year he's been in Tuscaloosa. So I expect this team to do the same thing. And if they do that, they're going to have a chance to do some special things later in the season going into the SEC and NCAA tournament.
And it hasn't been talked about a lot, but they were missing one ingredient, and he hasn't been a starter full time, but he certainly has produced like one. He's done a lot of things defensively. He was on the floor for a lot of big moments in the second half, especially against Texas A&M. He hit double figures. He's scored double figures many times this year. He's a McDonald's All-American. But I'm sure we'll hear from Nate later today and find out. But I saw him at the women's basketball game last night. Do you think we see Darion Reed back in this game? Because the thing about having a guy like Darion Reed is there's no drop-off when you put him in the game, say, if Jaren Stevenson gets into foul trouble, Bryan.
Yeah, I don't know the status of Darion, but, yeah, I agree with you that doesn't help you to not have a McDonald's All-American 5-star, a guy that is really starting to play his best basketball of his freshman year. He does so many different things for you. One, super athletic, strong, good defensive player, as good a driver finisher around the basket, a threat from the three-point line. But and it also changes your rotation. And listen, that's not an excuse. Alabama didn't play well, all those things, but it does change your rotation. And hopefully, Darion will be back, because I expect him, like this Alabama team, to continue to get better and he'll be a much different player going into February and March than he was in November and December. And
Agreed.
So I know that his leg injury is not something that is going to be long term, which is good news. So I'm not sure what his status is for tomorrow. But I know he'll be back, and hopefully soon. And when he does, he's really going to help this team.
LeBaron Philon, we've seen him have some really good moments during the non-conference portion of the schedule. But are we now seeing where these SEC teams they're so brilliant and smart night in and night out? They're game planning. They X and O this thing to death. Is LeBaron Philon going through those freshman up and downs now? Having to navigate how tough an SEC schedule it is and how tough it is for freshmen to play in the league?
Well, I'll answer your question this way. I'm not worried about LeBaron Philon. He is one of the best players, not just freshmen, best players in the country.
Yeah.
And any player. I mean, Mark Sears has gone through this in his fifth year. I mean, you're going to have ups and downs, and there's going to be games where ball's not dropping for you. So I'm not worried about LeBaron Philon. He's a great player. He has put himself in a position where he's going to have a chance to make a decision at the end of the year whether or not he wants to go to the NBA after 1 year and be a one and done, and potential, not just a potential first round pick, but a potential lottery pick. I know I've talked to NBA scouts at Alabama games over the year, and they love him. And I know the coaching staff loves him. Alabama fans do as well. So I expect him to have a great back half of the season. And, these freshmen, they go through ups and downs. I don't care how good they are, but I'll take LeBaron Philon and Darion Reed and this group of young players in February and March to be playing their best basketball as opposed to earlier in the year. So I'm excited about what LeBaron is going to continue to do in an Alabama uniform.
And I've liked some things I've seen out of Aiden Sherrill too. Very, very skilled, but a lot of defensive potential as well. Just needs to get stronger, but just a ton of talent. I think his future is exceptionally bright. Bryan, before we let you go, in your mind, for Alabama to bounce back and have a chance to win in Rupp, which Nate Oates has done, what needs to happen on Saturday morning?
Well, I think they're going to have to be really good defensively. Transition defense will be a key. Kentucky wants to get up and down. You got to get out to their three-point shooters and get on the backboard. Alabama needs to get back to what has put them in the top 5 in the country, and that is rebounding the ball at a high level, especially on the offensive end. Hopefully the threes go down, but you don't want to have to depend on that. They've done a great job of getting second and third chance opportunities, and that needs to come back. I know that's an area that's been a focus the last few days in practice. And ball security, you can't go on the road and turn it over. Kentucky is not the type of team that does what Ole Miss does from a defensive standpoint, takes chances and they're good defensively. They're solid, but they typically don't create a lot of turnovers and get a lot of steals. Hopefully that difference in style will help Alabama. And I think we're going to have a great game. I expect Alabama to play much better than what we saw on Tuesday. And hopefully that's enough to go on the road and get a win.
Well, we look forward to the broadcast. It'll start pregame 10 a.m. here Central Time on the Crimson Tide Sports Network on 97.7 The Zone, and then at 11 a.m. It's going to be some brunch in Rupp Arena as Alabama takes on the Kentucky Wildcats. We look forward to the call. You and Chris and Tom, stop everybody. Have a safe travels, and look forward to tomorrow. Thank you for the time to talk some Bama hoops, man.
Always enjoy it. Appreciate you having me, guys.
All right, Bryan Passink with us. Let's get that break in. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We are dealing with a heavy traffic load, but it seems to be moving okay. Got one wreck they still may be trying to clear in Somerville, 67 south of 36, about 6 Mile Road. That one was a no injury. Shoal Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Pam Tillis to UNA on January 26th. Tickets at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio, including the college football playoff and national championship game. The electricity, the atmosphere. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the college football playoff national championship, presented by AT&T. Coverage begins Monday, January 20th at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
It's the beauty of college football.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
I'm Al Roker, and here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Americans are boating responsibly. They know that on average, 2 people lose their lives and 9 are injured in recreational boating accidents every day. So they're wearing their life jackets, taking safe boating courses, leaving the alcohol on the dock, and of course, always checking the weather. You can learn more at www.uscgboating.org. The U.S. Coast Guard and I remind you, please boat responsibly.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life?
It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone with my friend Brandon Pilcher from Pilcher's Appraisals. Brandon, what exactly do you do?
Steve, I'm an appraiser. I can value a property for you if you're potentially going to sell, and that valuation could also be used to help you with your property taxes.
Thanks, Brandon. Brandon is licensed in Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. You can contact him at 706-936-3766. Call or text.
Attention, may I have the camp's attention?
Your home of the college football playoffs.
Playoffs?
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Playoffs? Playoffs?
Oh, brother me. 8:23 Friday morning, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Before we get back out to the phone lines real fast, big news over at UAH. Not one, not two, but 3 players named to the Bevo Francis Top 100 list. And for those that do not know the Bevo Francis Award, it's kind of like the Heisman for small college basketball. That's about the best way to put it. It encompasses Division II, Division III, NAIA, the USCAA Division I and IIs, and the NCCAA Division I and IIs. I believe at one time Oakwood College or Oakwood University, they were a member of the USCAA. I think they're moving up, but they were part of that as well. But Luke Burnett, Blake Campbell, Tommy Murr, they have all been added to the top 100 list to the Bevo Francis Award. So something to keep an eye on there over at UAH. 256-576-4977 is the number to the phone lines. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning. Speaking of awards and moving up, our resident Ace Austin has been invited to the McDonald's Girls All-American game. And
I hope she makes it, man. Now, is she nominated or does she get invited?
She got nominated.
Yeah, I hope she makes it. That would be really cool. Another feather in the cap for Spring Garden. But, yeah, she's an outstanding player, man. I mean, she's almost averaging a triple-double.
They don't even have a McDonald's there, though. I mean, that's what's so funny.
Hey, man.
I know.
They've got a pristine gym that you could lick the floor.
Yes.
I hope they don't take offense to what I just said.
They got one where Jeremy Pruitt's at.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
And speaking of him, this year will be 4 years since he's coached.
Right.
And that whole show calls crap. They're
Yeah.
talking about 6 years.
Yeah.
Well, that time should apply.
Yeah, that's the one thing we haven't. I apologize, Brandon. Before you finish your thought, that's the one thing I have said. Like, we haven't had any transparency with that. Like, if he's getting quote unquote time served. So I really don't know. That is a good question.
And he had a 1 year suspension.
Yeah.
Which would technically be up this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look compared to what he did, compared to what Jim Harbaugh and some others have done, I kind of feel in my heart that they wanted to make sure that he didn't come back to Alabama.
Well, that was part of it. There's no question that Fatimus Maximus didn't want him coming back to Alabama in any form or fashion because Saban ran him out of coaching just like he did, Urban Meyer.
Right.
Out of the SEC
Yeah,
anyway. And then Fulmer was done with coaching.
And after 4 years with what we've got going on now, it should be, like, to me, they ought to say, all right, 4 years is enough. You've been out. You can come back and do whatever you want to do because what they gave Harbaugh, was it a 5 year?
Something like that. Now he's in the NFL, but yeah.
And they know what he did, and it was way more contrived and awful than anything Pruitt did. Pruitt was just giving out money, which is at the time was illegal, but we all know what Michigan was doing, and the two of them ain't even in the same category with each other. So,
yeah.
But I think that's one of the last gasps of the NCAA who will probably pretty soon be going away. I think in 10 years' time there will be no NCAA.
You may be right. There's no question about that. And here's the interesting part. Pruitt is an Alabama guy. There's no question. But the mentor that hired him is retired. Now,
Right.
you would if Saban were continuing to coach, there would always be that. Of course, Nick Saban would want to bring Jeremy Pruitt back. I mean, I was asked, did they end on good terms? Of course they did. But now it's Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer hired Kane Womack, his guy. He's been bringing in his guys. It would be very interesting to see if that connection was still there and he wanted to bring Jeremy Pruitt back. Because I
think
know
a guy like Kirby Smart would take a chance.
No. I wouldn't expect that. There'd have to be some bridges rebuilt. It'd have to be like one of those reconstruction shows. You know what I'm saying? What do they call it? Flip it in a week? I don't know.
Yeah. We could put this as a reality show.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying? It's.
I'll just say it was frosty. Like it's frosty outside.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, basically, to me, it seems like that you take a look at the situation that's going on with Pruitt and look around. They pick and choose who they really want to hammer and put it on real hard.
Right.
And they let some people get by with it. But if I'd have been Saban, I'd have just hired him anyway. And it seemed to me, and you have to get the czar to correct me on this if I'm wrong, it seemed to me that the czar proved that Greg Sankey was a liar because he asked him, and Sankey said, we don't block anybody from hiring anybody.
We asked him that too, though.
Around.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And Saban turned right around and said, nope, the SEC said they wouldn't let him come back. And I'm like, why did nobody ever ask Sankey why he lied? And I think he kept Bo Davis and other people from coming back long after their show calls was over with.
Yeah.
They punish people officially, and then they continue to do it afterwards. And I don't think that's right either.
Well, and they also, for a few years, kept Hugh Freeze from coming back as like an analyst and things of that nature as well.
Right.
So,
yeah,
but at the same time, too,
I mean,
let's say Auburn and Hugh Freeze, coming back, or some other schools wanted him. We assume these schools want them. We assume that these schools want to hire X, Y, and Z, and they may have interest in them. And Alabama or some school may just send a flyer up the pole to the league and say, hey, do you think this is a good hire? And the league say, well, I don't know, all the other stuff. We don't know if the SEC specifically and Greg Sankey specifically sending a memo to said school saying, no, you cannot hire said coach.
Yeah.
I mean, the league may
It's
advise,
underlying.
Yes, the league may, hey, you may want to rethink that hire.
Did you catch that there, Brandon, what I said?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. All right, Brandon. Thanks for the phone call.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I mean, and to Brandon's point, though, too, five Alabama high school standouts have been nominated for the McDonald's All-American. Ace Austin is part of that. And Park Crossing has 2, Ramaya Myers and Sanaya Jackson. And then a team that a lot of people know a lot about, Hoover, on the boys' side, they have 2 players that have been nominated, Dwayne Brown and Salem London. Those are the 5 players from the state of Alabama.
Salim London, yep.
Yeah, Salim London.
Yeah, no good one.
Those are the 2 that have been nominated on the boys' side from the state of Alabama.
So there's been 2 from the state of Alabama.
On the boys' side,
2 Hoover
3
Bucks.
on the girls' side. Yeah,
no
both
Huntsville
from
Crimson
Hoover.
Panthers, not good enough. The Hoover Bucks, they rule everything. It's over already. Just everybody play for second. That's what everybody's doing.
8:30. Let's take a break. Let's get one in here. 256-576-4977. You can join us on the flip side. We've got more college football conversation next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon, but it is going to be nice across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 50s. We're dropping into the mid 40s as we head into the overnight early into your Saturday morning. During that time, rain is going to begin to filter into the Tennessee Valley, and it looks like that rain is going to stick with us at least through the lunch hour on Saturday. After that, it does look like we are going to be dry, but we are going to be on the breezy end of the spectrum through a good chunk of Saturday afternoon. Also maintaining a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky. Temperatures, though, climbing into the mid 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We are dealing with a heavy traffic load, but it seems to be moving okay. Got one wreck they still may be trying to clear in Somerville, 67 south of 36, about 6 Mile Road. That one was a no injury. Shoal Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Pam Tillis to UNA on January 26th. Tickets at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Insulation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship in insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Orthopedics. You're thinking bones, muscles, and joints, right? Well, what else comes to mind? Maybe your spine, therapy, or an arm cast? What about sports medicine? What do you think about when you hear that? Are you thinking about the largest orthopedic group in the state, caring for the most student athletes in North Alabama? Or about the fact that they are teamed up with the state's largest hospital-based sports medicine program to provide care to more schools in North Alabama than any other group? If you are, you have TOC Sports and Huntsville Hospital Sports Center on the brain. If you're not, you should, because Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports have partnered for more than 2 decades to establish a state-of-the-art team of certified athletic trainers and orthopedic specialists who successfully continue to meet and exceed the sports medicine needs of schools, athletes, coaches, and parents in our community. Committing to kids, committing to community, committing to care. That's Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977espn.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. We mentioned college football. Don't forget, we will talk national championship here, especially on Monday. Coming up this weekend, you do have a busy slate of NFL games on the horizon as we are getting down to the nitty-gritty there in the NFL. On Saturday at 3:30, you get Houston at Kansas City. And then coming up on Saturday at 7 o'clock, you get the Washington Commanders at Detroit. That is your Saturday slate. And then on Sunday at 2, the Rams at the Eagles. And then you get the Ravens at the Bills at 5:30 on Sunday.
To be honest with you, this is probably, and again, I follow the NFL, but I don't religiously watch every game. And, of course, you watch some of it every Sunday when the season's going on. But the best day of NFL football is the best 2 days.
Is this weekend. Yes.
You got these 4 games, these divisional playoffs, before you set the stage for the NFC and AFC championship games and then the Super Bowl. This is the best day, though, because you've got 4 games, you got 2 each day, and these are there's a little bit of a Cinderella every now and then, but it's usually really the cream. These are the 4 best teams on each side.
Are the Commanders like that Cinderella team this year?
Or excuse me, it's the 4 best teams in the NFL, pardon me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, well, you could say that and the Rams. I mean, the Rams I know they won their division, but they had an up and down season. But I think the Commanders would be the closest thing because they have the rookie Jaden Daniels. If you saw him at LSU, you know how magical he is. And now, I mean, and the Commanders have been so bad for so long and been just trying to find that formula. The coach, the quarterback that they need. It's Dan Quinn's redemption after he and Kyle Shanahan gave away the Super Bowl that I'll never get over. I
remember that game.
Yeah, I don't want to. But,
I cooked some really good wings that Sunday.
Yeah, that sucked. I mean, because Julio Jones should have had a Super Bowl ring, and Shanahan's blown 2 more since then.
Matt Ryan should have had one.
Matty Ice should have had him one, and you're up 28-3 in the middle of the third quarter, and it's just. I mean, it's just that's probably the only NFL game besides a little bit of the 1990 Super Bowl where Buffalo blew it, where you're just like crushed because I really liked that Buffalo team. I thought Cornelius Bennett was going to get a Super Bowl ring, and then they lost. But there's not nearly the disgust that there is with and Tom Brady'd won his share. I mean, he still was going to have 6 Super Bowls, okay, because he ended up winning another with the Yucks/Bucks, who I liked the Bucks back in the Tony Dungy, John Gruden days, but he won another one with the Bucks. So he had 6 other Super Bowls. He shouldn't have had a 7th. That's disgusting.
Does Jalen Hurts do enough to get the Eagles over the Rams?
I mean, he can. I think they should. I mean, I think the Eagles have the better team. They've got the number 1 defense in the NFL. Yeah. They've got Saquon Barkley, who's healthy and rolling. They've got A.J. Brown healthy, Devontae Smith, a good tight end. They've got all these weapons. If Jalen just doesn't turn the ball over, and if he can be efficient, and they can run the football, I think without a doubt they should beat the Rams. I know the Rams had 9 sacks the other day, but they're going to have to protect Hurts.
When you hear all the criticism of Jalen Hurts and you hear about the passing game, the lack of the passing game, or the lack of him throwing the ball.
Just shocked.
Are you shocked?
No. I mean, good Lord. We went through this at Alabama. Roll right, throw it out of bounds. Well, I mean, it was funny when listening to one of the broadcasts the other day. I think it was Greg Olson, who, by the way, is still the best analyst in football, no matter how much money Tom Brady makes. He was talking about, I believe it was Greg. He said, well, they want to force Jalen Hurts right. I'm sitting here going, of course they do. Force him right and throw it out of bounds. Now, he doesn't. The one thing Jalen's always kind of done, though, is protect the ball. Like, he doesn't turn it over a bunch.
Right.
But their efficiency isn't great at times because, again, he struggles. So, but the Rams are going to have to get after him. They're going to have to make him turn it over. I will say this. I think Stafford has been the better quarterback in the playoffs. You look at Matt Stafford. He doesn't get mentioned for the Hall of Fame as much as he should, but he probably should be one. I mean, the dude got the hell beat out of him in Detroit for most of his career, and
beat out of him.
And Wolverine Dan would even admit that. And then he goes to the Rams. He wins a Super Bowl, and he's still playing at a very high level. Scott, this dude is going on. He's closing in on playing as long as Aaron Rodgers has. Okay. He's had a long career. He's recovered from 2, knee reconstructions, and yet he's still a really good player, okay? And he's still throwing the ball as well as anybody. And this is a tough hombre because he played the majority. He didn't play for Dan Campbell, okay? He played for manure.
Let's go out to the phone lines. Our good friend B. Rich is with us. Good morning, bud.
Good morning.
Good morning, drunk Falcons fan calling here.
Yeah, we're both bitter about that. God
he's still
almighty.
He's still
We're never going to get over it, ever.
ever. 100%, Drew. And I'll tell you what's worse, guys. Lately, you hear the Steeler fans are everywhere. Other than the Cowboys, they're probably the second largest fan base. They're national. And I know some Steeler fans. And to see them complaining about Mike Tomlin, like, I would take Mike Tomlin in a heartbeat in Atlanta. So cry me a river about making the playoffs every year. Cry me a river about making the playoffs every year. The Falcons are so far away from the playoffs. They're stuck in a bad quarterback contract. Their GM continually botches the draft. So Steeler fans, you have a great owner. You have a great coach. He is getting the best of a, mediocre to slightly mediocre roster. So as a Falcons fan, I would take Mike Tomlin in a heartbeat, and I would be completely happy with making the playoffs every year. Every year, Steeler fans, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
I think they've had 3 coaches in 56 years. 3 coaches in 56 years?
Scott mentioned that the other day. 3 coaches in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, Steeler fans, I mean, I know it's been a minute since you won a Super Bowl, but, hey, as a Falcons fan, at least you've won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
We're still gagging on ours. Thank you,
Chuck
Mike
Noll,
Shanahan.
Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin.
It's easy to remember. I know we don't talk a lot of NFL here. It's not what we do and all that kind of stuff. But I do have a lot of Falcons gear that I really get to wear very rarely when they muster a win. So we'll see. I mean, Steeler fans, come on, man.
At least you have cheap concession
look
prices.
In the mirror.
Yeah, I agree.
That's right. And we got a great stadium. I mean, it's inside. We don't have to sit outside at Heinz Field. So I mean, I guess that is something. So all right, rant over. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, B. Rich.
He's right.
You've come a long ways from the days of playing at old Turner
Fulton
Field.
County Stadium.
Fulton County Stadium.
You mean Fulton County?
Yeah. Come a long ways.
And Arthur Blank is considered a good owner. Like we trust me, you tried all the concessions. They gave us everything when we went over there.
Let me tell you what.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm still eating from that.
I mean, I ate, but I couldn't believe how much Scott
That was
ate.
some of the best. So when we were over there covering the Super Bowl for the week.
Oh my Lord.
I signed us up for what was called a sampling event.
Yep.
And it was where you go over to, and at the time it was not Mercedes, it was Mercedes-Benz, yeah. You go over there and they said, okay, we're going to throw out some of the new foods that we will have available at the concessions for the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking they're going to throw out just little pieces of everything.
Like hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah, like hors d'oeuvres.
Hell no.
No,
It was the whole menu,
It was the menu. But it was like, so they said, we're going to have chicken and waffles available.
Scott, here comes Scott with chicken and waffles. Then here he comes with this large, like, I don't know.
And it wasn't a small portion of chicken and waffles.
Heck no, it wasn't.
Was like the whole damn chicken and the whole waffle.
They gave him a whole waffle, a whole damn chicken, and then he comes back with this big, like, sausage dog or something. I'm like, what in the hell is that?
They had 3 different kinds of hot dogs. I just brought all 3 back.
Then he started bringing desserts. I'm like, Scott, how the hell can you eat all this?
Oh, I ate.
I ate a one meal, and I was so stuffed I couldn't even get. He's eating like 4. He's like, well, I got to try this, and they're bringing this out, and they're bringing this out, and that's why tapeworm is just like
it
perfect.
was one of the greatest
like,
days.
You should have seen the look on his face. We should have recorded it. Like
and we got back to our table over there at the convention center, and then they brought like food for us to eat, and it was whole pizzas.
And he was still eating.
I took the whole pizza.
I didn't even eat any pizza. I couldn't.
And then I think we went out for dinner that night too.
That's when we had the souffle.
Yes. No, that's when we went to this trendy restaurant in some
Steve
house.
almost got us killed. Because he was back in the back seat driving, and Wes wanted to kill me. It wasn't my fault. The dude didn't know his east from his west. Hell, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
That's when the infamous words, I believe Atlanta is to our east.
Yeah, and Wes is like, what the hell?
He's like, Steve, Atlanta is to the west.
And Steve's from Georgia. Like, what are we doing? And that was an interesting restaurant, too, because it was in a neighborhood,
It was in a house.
It looked like a house.
It was
It
a
looked like a
house.
house. It did.
We sat in the living room.
Yeah. No, it was a brulee, not a souffle. You had a damn brulee.
No, it was a creme brulee.
Creme brulee, yeah.
Yes.
I got it right. It took 3 times.
And I had some kind of squid ink pasta or something. I don't
Something.
know.
It was black.
It was good.
All the food was good, though. I enjoyed it.
Boy, we've just taken this thing off the rails. We'll get it back on. I know. We're going to get it back on here. We're going to get our final break in. Your tomorrow's headlines next. Boy, those chicken and waffles were good.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We are dealing with a heavy traffic load, but it seems to be moving okay. Got one wreck they still may be trying to clear in Somerville, 67 south of 36, about 6 Mile Road. That one was a no injury. Shoal Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Pam Tillis to UNA on January 26th. Tickets at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
I'm Al Roker, and here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Americans are boating responsibly. They know that on average, 2 people lose their lives and 9 are injured in recreational boating accidents every day. So they're wearing their life jackets, taking safe boating courses, leaving the alcohol on the dock, and of course, always checking the weather. You can learn more at www.uscgboating.org. The U.S. Coast Guard and I remind you, please boat responsibly.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, let's get out to the phone lines real fast before we get into some of your headlines. Let's get in Pat from Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, guys. Oh, guys, Alabama has your apple turnover, your cherry turnover, your peach turnover. Are they going to bring their newest creation, Coach Oats cream puff turnover to Rump Arena, or are they going to go by Woods and Water in Tuscaloosa and pick up a keg of gunpowder and blow up Rump Arena? What are they going to do?
Well, I think they're going to play better than they did on Saturday. Whether that's good enough to, beat Kentucky on the road, I don't know. But with the Nate Oates and the tenor and the and we'll also hear from him later this afternoon. But being at the press conference on Tuesday, just the transparency with him saying disgusting and basically questioning the leadership and wanting more out of his seniors. I will be shocked if they don't play better basketball against Kentucky than they did against a really good Ole Miss team.
Well, looks like Ole Miss just absolutely forced those turnovers. They dictated exactly what they wanted Alabama to do. But the fact that we couldn't get any offensive rebounds, it just hurt my feelings big time. I mean, when you got to go into Coleman and you got to pay $13.50 for a pretzel,
yeah, we were talking about that.
$13 for a Coca-Cola to wash it down with.
Right.
I mean, you deserve more. The fans deserve more than what they got.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the break about how high in some of these stadiums the concession prices are, and like Scott was saying, they're still going to be very reasonable for the national championship game due to it being at Mercedes-Benz Stadium come Monday night.
Yeah. Well, I tell you my feelings about that. Back whenever I was young, Notre Dame had a Catholic priest in every parish across America, bringing in the best players for Notre Dame. It just made me sick. And so I have a hatred for Notre Dame that goes way back. I want to see Ryan Day lose because I want to see him fired on the sideline when he spent $20 million. So I'd really like to see it go into 20 overtimes, and they get so tired that the television people decide to break away from it because they're tired of watching the crap.
All right, Pat. Thanks for the phone
Thank you,
call.
Pat.
Bud.
Have a good weekend.
All right. Have a great one. Bye.
And to his point, to everyone's point, if you are headed over to Atlanta on Monday, you can buy the classic hot dog for $2.
Wow.
Cheese nachos are $3, and your chili cheese dog for you, no fresh bun, but a chili cheese dog is $5.
Mm-hmm.
You will not make us wait for chili cheese dogs in Atlanta. Anyway, some other notes just announced a little bit ago by ESPN. College Game Day will be in Auburn next Saturday for the Auburn-Tennessee game.
Cool.
Coming back there to
That's a heck of a matchup,
Arena.
man.
Yep. And remember this name, Devin Cambridge?
Yeah.
Yep. He's in the portal again. He is seeking a medical red shirt. He's seeking a medical hardship. He wants a 7th year of college basketball.
Hell, there was some dude from Miami playing 9, man.
Cambridge has stops at Auburn, Arizona State. He's now at Texas Tech, by the way.
Is he? I forgot.
Yeah. He wants 7 years of college basketball.
Devin Cambridge. Yep, he was an energy guy for Auburn.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 years. I believe he played with his brother at Arizona State.
Yeah, he did. That was one of the reasons why when he went into the portal from Auburn, he went Auburn, Arizona State.
Yeah.
That was the reason to play for his brother at Arizona State. His brother's probably since graduated.
I would hope.
And Tom Brew must have been listening to the show.
What did he say?
So he just put out a column, and you need to reach out to him.
Yeah.
This was his column, okay? My 2 cents. For Auburn's Bruce Pearl, Indiana was dream job.
Yeah.
Many Indiana fans still want Bruce Pearl to be their head coach there in Bloomington. He just put this article out this morning, did Tom Brew.
Nice.
So he must have been listening to us when we did the show there in Bloomington.
Bruce Pearl has Auburn number 1. They're paying him very well. They've been very aggressive. He has an arena. He has an outstanding home court advantage. Recruiting has been going very, very well. It's not like they've already changed athletic directors and got John Cohen established. I don't see any avenue where and Auburn would pay him even more. I mean, I don't see, he's established himself so much at Auburn. Now, if this had been, maybe his 3rd or 4th year at Auburn, I could see that. But he's the all-time winningest coach there. I just don't see him going to Indiana. I just don't. I think he's going to stay at Auburn.
He's 65 years of
and
age.
He could have easily gone to Louisville a few years ago before they hired Kenny Payne. He leveraged that into an outstanding contract at Auburn. I just don't see him going to Indiana. Now, Chris Beard, he's he's making like $4 million a year. Ole Miss is turned into a really good job, but he's not number one in the country like Bruce Pearl is. And Bruce Pearl was number one in the country 2 years ago. So, and he's had Auburn in the Final Four, you know. And then I still say most of the Indiana fan base still loves Bob Knight.
Yes.
And Chris Beard has ties to Bob Knight. I just think it makes even more sense.
All right, that's going to do it for us. 5 days in the books. We're going to take 2 off, and we'll be back at it Monday morning, where we will be live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out there in the service department. Watch a little NFL football, and then on Monday we will get you ready for the College Football National Championship.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with